Oh, yes. Rachel dipped on the podcast, but it's okay. It's okay. I was forced to go it alone, and Rach, I really miss you for this interview. But we have an amazing interview today. Letitia Wright, it's just a fantastic movie she's in right now called The Silent Twins, about a very spooky yet empowering yet spiritual journey of two twins that lived in England that would only communicate with each other. We're going to talk to her about her movie, and of course, we're going to talk to her about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and some of the discourse surrounding the film and what we might be able to expect. That's up next here on Higher Learning.
I'm sad I missed it.
We are joined by an incredibly special guest right now. One of the best actresses in the world, a staple of the culture, and star of, sublime. It's almost adjectives don't really even exist to describe it. Surreal, amazing new film called The Silent Twins. We are joined today on Higher Learning by Letitia Wright. Letitia, how are you doing?
What's going on? What an introduction, man. Thank you so much.
No, we appreciate you. Let's jump off into this film. I was unaware of the story of the Gibbons sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I was unaware of the really just almost spiritual bond that they had. And I think that a lot of people might be. Tell people a little bit about the movie and what attracted you to make this film.
Yeah, man. The movie is a beautiful look into the lives of twin sisters, June and Jennifer Gibbons. They lived in Wales in the UK in the 60s to like the 90s, and during that time from like the 60s to the 70s, you know, and 80s, they experienced a lot of like marginalized behavior from society. They experienced racism, you know, and they had a speech impediment. It made it difficult for them to communicate with their peers, and instead of embracing them, society locked them out. And we follow their story in our movie. We see how they used silence as a way to protect themselves. We see how they used the bond that they share, that deep bond and that pact of, you know, no one's gonna leave, you know, and separate to protect themselves. And how I got involved, and what attracted me to it was just the opportunity to tell a story that I felt needed to be told with the right angle. You know, the beauty of who they were as sisters was lost all those years ago when the media shared about them and told everybody, you know, what they were going through in the psychiatric hospital. The essence of who they were was lost, and they just became boxed into one thing. And I just found it intriguing, and I wanted to tell the story, and I wanted to do that with the right people. And thankfully we found Tamara Lawrence, who is really exquisite in this movie. She's really phenomenal. And yeah, man, proud of it, really proud of it. Not only are we leading actresses, but we're also producers. But yeah, man, it's a meaningful story.
So these identical twin sisters don't speak to the outside world for years, but they've developed, like I said, a spiritual bond between one another. And they almost, the thing about the movie for me and some of the research that I did, they almost weaponized their silence as a form of revolution and protest against their treatment. And we never really think about or have explored in film the power of silence. What we always see is people using their voice. And we never really think about the power of not saying anything. As an actor, somebody whose main job it is to really use their voice, how did you have to change your preparation for the movie a little bit in order to bring this character to life?
That's a great question. It was a challenge at first, because it's like, how do you allow the audience to sit through 2 hours worth of a movie and the first section, the first act is in silence? And I think what we had to do was go deeper. We had to understand the reasons behind the silence. We couldn't just be lazy about it. We couldn't just say, okay, this scene we're gonna be silent. No, we had to know why. And when we went to the book, when we went to the documentary that's out there with June sharing her story, we found that, yeah, like you said, they used silence as a weapon towards society to say, hey, like if you're gonna marginalize me, if you're gonna keep me out, I'm gonna keep you out by protecting my space. And it takes depth. It takes depth to be able to do that. And also, I want to champion the younger twins in this movie. People are in for a treat, not only for myself and Tamara's portrayal of the twins, but the younger twins, Leah and Ava. They are phenomenal actresses. I'm shook. I'm shooketh when I watch them. I'm like, fam, like you lot are just, if you lot are doing this at what, 12, 13,
Mhm.
I'm so ready for what they're about to do when they're 25. They had to carry a level of depth with them to portray what and to evoke emotion into the audience members and to yeah, to channel what the twins were feeling with silence.
Yeah.
It takes a great artist to do that. And fortunately we had a great team.
For you and Tamara, who you guys played June and Jennifer, how did you guys prepare in tandem? Because it's not the type of movie where you can just go off into. Wouldn't imagine that it you can just go off and I'm gonna go sit around this and learn. I would imagine that this has to be a team effort between you guys. What was that process like?
Yeah, it was hard to begin with because every actor wants to come on set, flex, show what they can do, show how much research they did, but ego had to be put to the side from day one. So
Yeah.
myself and Tamara had to get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable in each other's space and to normalize being together literally every single day. Um, and we had to just dedicate ourselves because that's we can't even understand the experience of being a twin because we're not.
Yeah.
A twin is together from the point of them being in their mother's womb.
Yeah. Conception.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and they reach out for each other. I think it was like 6 months or something like that. They start reaching out for each other. Tamara has all of these statistics and research in her mind that I steal all the time.
Right.
But they start reaching out for each other, and I think in a way we had to make up for that lost time that we definitely wouldn't have had in our mother's womb as twins. So we had to freaking work hard. We had to spend days and nights with each other, just like back to back, just research and just getting comfortable in each other's presence, and bringing that to screen for you guys.
Was it the type of thing to where you guys go, okay, we have to spend 7, 8, 9 hours a day together, or was it like a regiment that you guys had to kind of
First,
try to?
first it was a regimen.
Uh-huh.
We realized that it wasn't going to work, especially when we got to our film set, when we got to
Right.
on location, like block out the world. We
Uh-huh.
literally had hardly any outside communication. Like we literally was just from the start of the day to the end of the day. Like if you saw me, you saw Tamara. Like literally, like,
Mm,
if she was eating, I was eating. Like
right.
it was literally like just in sync.
Mhm.
Some people got fed up of us on set. They're like, "Oh, there they go. Here's a twin. What are you guys doing your twin thing?" Like we had people be like, "What's going on there?" Or if I had to make a decision, if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, Tish, like today we want to put you in this costume," I'm like, "What's Tamara wearing? Tamara, did you approve this costume? Because I didn't." Like everything was the same.
I don't want to give away. I mean, obviously, I think that people are going to be interested in what happens in the film,
Mhm.
in the story. So I don't want to give too much of the movie away, but I do want to say that uh, June Gibbons is still with us.
Yes.
I don't want to tell people too much about what goes on or what happens in the story of these women's lives. I'm curious, did you at all get a chance to speak with her and talk with her? Was she in any way involved in the production of the movie? Like I know sometimes as actors, you want to, if you're playing somebody that's alive, you want to talk to them and you want to kind of sit with them. Did that connection ever happen?
Man, it's a sensitive topic only because June is very private.
Very
We
private,
don't want
yeah.
to open up, our experiences, connection in a way that could lead to any issues for her privacy. But what I can tell you is that like she was very aware that we were making the film from the very beginning. The writer Marjorie Wallace, we've been in contact with her from the start of her knowing that the book has been options, that actresses have been attached. We went to Marjorie's house, we sat down, we talked to her, we saw all of the archived footage and information and writings and photos of the twins. Marjorie's just been reading the script and staying in sync, with us. She saw the edits, everything there is to know about this film. Marjorie was there, and what's beautiful about Marjorie's connection to June is that it's still happening today. It's still strong. It's still one of love, and through patience and just us dedicating ourselves to telling the story in a way that's positive, and not detrimental to their characters. Marjorie was able to communicate that and share with June that the film is made and it's done, and for our sides we got a thumbs up of approval and gratitude that it was made in a respectful and beautiful way.
The visual look, because for something like this, you could just, the story is so compelling that you could really just do a paint, but we know the directors are important and the tone and pacing of a movie always is. But you really could just tell the story here and it would be so compelling that everybody would be enraptured. But this film has an incredibly distinct texture, tone, and visual look that is almost like another character in the movie in and of itself, right? Tell us a little bit about the director. I consider myself a cinephile, and I have to say, as somebody who I wasn't really familiar with their work before, what was it like being on set, and how would you describe the look of the movie?
Oh man, so many great questions. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with our director's work myself, but she did a few joints that went to Sundance. Sundance as a film festival, they love art house movies,
Of course.
and I found that her approach to it, was firstly to engage with me. She came to me, she asked me to play the part. I told her I wanted to be a producer. Everybody was on board. And then immediately after that, I let her know like the things in which I am going to stand for as a Black woman. I immediately let her know that I need to understand your vision. Like, how are you going to make this different? How are you going to put this together? And she had a great team of not only production designer, but also cinematographer. And she made everyone study the book. And what I found with the visual tone of our film is like, and I love that you said it's like another character, is that from the writings of the twins, we didn't want that to be lost.
Their imagination.
Exactly. Everything you hear, everything that you see, the stop animation, the waves and the poetry that you hear, all the twins. Nothing was pulled from anybody else. That's every single word was written by them. So we used it, and the visual tone of the film and the cinematography, that was the basis for us creating the movie the way it did. And we didn't want to leave that to the side. We wanted that to have its own life. We wanted you to not only see the story in a linear way, but also a non-linear way.
Of course.
Yeah, we wanted to mess you up.
And you did.
Because that's their imagination. Their imagination is so huge and so broad and so beautiful that we couldn't just make it one thing. We want you to go back again. We want you to watch this film at least 3 times and be like, oh damn, I got it. And then buy the book. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what? The reality is, it's a story that afterwards I was asking myself, how have I never heard of this? Like, this is such a unique, powerful, and in places really tragic story. But in some ways still triumphant. It's very difficult to articulate if you haven't immersed yourself in it. But I was wondering how in the world I had never heard of this, and it did. It sparked a lot of curiosity on my part to go and my producer sent me over a documentary about it, and
Mm,
just to learn a lot more.
mm.
I remember the first time I ever saw you on screen. It actually wasn't Black Panther; it was Black Mirror.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, it was Black Museum for Black Mirror. It was the first time I can remember seeing you, and then it's crazy because a lot of actors like I watch so much Black Mirror that I'm like, oh, Black Mirror, Black Mirror, Black Mirror, Black Mirror, Black Mirror, and this movie has the same type of tone of surrealism,
Mm,
like as kind of Black Mirror does, but it's so much different than playing Shuri in
mhm.
Black Panther. Did you want to do this specifically as a departure from kind of that role or roles that you might have played in the past? Because the reception to this movie is going to be wholly different
Mm.
than a big popcorn Marvel action flick, but I think it's going to be for a lot of people just as powerful.
I feel you. That's a great way of looking at it. I think for me, I've always been that type of artist to find art house movies. Like I grew
Uh
up
huh.
on art house movies, and my career started in that way. Like
Yeah.
I'm like season one of Top Boy. Do you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
season one of Top Boy with Kano and Asha D, you know what I mean? And I'm, the young Muslim girl in My Brother the Devil that went to Sundance and Berlin Film Festival. I am that girl with Jodie Comer in a Channel 4 show called Big Girls, and just doing some beautiful acting there. Like I love like stories that follow kind of like the art house theme.
Uh huh.
And thankfully for me, like, I have the perspective of wherever the story is good and the story is impactful, you'll find me there. So if it means I'm playing a scientist who's also a princess, that's also
Uh
a
huh.
badass in a
Uh huh.
big, Marvel blockbuster that's an Oscar nominated film, yeah, you'll find me
Absolutely.
there. If it means you
Yeah.
find me in Black Mirror,
Uh huh.
I don't want to swear, but messing shit up,
Nah, you can swear.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, because that was a hard body role. Like, I love that role.
Uh-huh.
I tried to go where the art is. You know what I mean? I tried to go where the substance is, and this is another opportunity to do that. Like, I've always loved movies like this. Like, I was telling my PR team, like, and my team at Focus, like, I always wanted to be a part of a Focus feature film because when I watch
Yeah.
art house movies, like, Focus features are like, it's like A24 and Focus,
A24 Focus Features,
those guys,
you in for
like, the
something.
guys are like
Yeah.
owning in on like art house movies,
Uh-huh.
and it's such a pleasure for me to see my poster with that logo. Do you know what I mean? And so yeah, I've always been following the good story. So yeah, that's my answer.
Speaking of good stories, I was at D23.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
You
man.
come you
I was
come
at
through the panel? You come see
yeah.
us?
I came and checked y'all out. I saw Ryan out there, man. Shout out to Kugler.
Yeah,
Kugler, when you look at Kugler up there, Kugler like, yo, I want to bring my motherfuckers for the cast out here, man.
man.
Kugler one of us, man. Like I'm watching Kugler. I'm like, I'm so happy to see this
That's
brother
our
up
bro.
here.
He's himself.
Yeah, he is.
Authentic.
Right. So we saw a little bit of what looks to be an astounding follow up to Black Panther, which is Wakanda Forever. I know that's coming out a little bit later, and I understand that you guys are under lock and key as far as what you can reveal to us.
Hmm.
But I do want to ask you a couple of things about the movie. Number one, there are a lot of people that I don't know if you've heard about people that wanted to see a different version of T'Challa in the movie. I don't know if you've heard people were saying that they should recast the role. And I'll be honest with you, myself personally, I'm afraid to see the movie. And I'm afraid to see the movie because it was so jarring and hurtful to wake up that morning and see that we had lost Chadwick Boseman.
Hmm.
And part of me is afraid to go to the film and have to go through that again. Like it's actually giving me chills right now
Bless you.
to think about laying him to rest. It's just
Mhm.
it's very hard. What do you say to people who didn't want to see the character die, that wanted to see the character either recast or moved on to save themselves that pain or to keep the story of T'Challa going forward? What do you say to people?
Man, that's a very good question. It's hard because, I understand, as an
Yeah.
artist, you have to be empathetic to what everybody's experience is, with a story, and I understand how invested so many people are, especially in the role of T'Challa. Like T'Challa is a great example of a king, how much what he meant to black men around the world, how liberating and empowered black men felt when they came out of the cinema seeing T'Challa as king. We've never really had that before.
Word.
I think it's hard to speak on it. Um, it's hard for the outside world to understand what's happening for us as a team, because we
Yeah.
are also grieving, we are
Yeah.
also still grieving, and it's not easy to walk onto a set and go into the throne room and knowing that your brother was sitting there. It's not easy to go to Comic Con and go through the elevators and touch the button and then remember, like, we pulled out a phone and we were rap battling and like having fun and Chadwick was right there. It's not easy for us to relive those moments without him. So we are, as a team, trying to bring you something that honors him, because what we can't do is put it under the carpet. We can't just we can't just forget Chadwick Boseman. We cannot, and we as a team are trying our best to bring you something that is honorable, something that helps you to join us and the Wakandan family on this journey of respecting his life, because he did those films with all that he had
Oh
going on,
man, I can't
and
even.
there's honor in that.
Yeah.
There is respect in that, and one reason why we chose to continue doing the film is because like Ryan felt very strongly that Chad was just like, bro, like, you have to carry on, like you have to put this thing together and go out there and do it. So I would say to you to not be scared.
Uh-huh.
We are very sensitive about how our audience members feel. We are with you guys. We are in pain with you guys. But at the same time, we want to bring you guys something that's honorable to our brother, something that's entertaining, and something that could leave a legacy, to add on to his legacy. And I hope you enjoy it.
What does it mean for? Because in the trailers that I've seen, the trailer that I've seen, it seems that the women in Wakanda are taking full. Not that they weren't in the first film, or if I've
Mm,
read a ton of Black Panther, and I think one of the most amazing things about Black Panther is the strength of Wakandan women and how it's actually put to the forefront
mm,
and prioritized. But in this trailer, you see the strength of Wakanda women. You see great female, strong female characters, yourself, Riri Williams,
mm,
Angela Bassett,
mm.
Lupita Nyong'o, all so center stage. It's really you guys and Namor are the real selling parts of what we've seen from the movie so far. What was it like to see the women in Wakanda take center stage in this sequel?
I loved it because it was a direct connection to the first film.
Yeah.
He could have had King's Guards next to him. He
Uh-huh.
had women. He had
Word.
the general is a woman,
Uh-huh.
and I love that because it broke so many barriers of what our perception is of what women should be allowed to do and not do. Wakanda is kind of like a place where your abilities are not connected to your gender. If you are good at a job, you are assigned to that job. That's why his little sister is the head of technology. He doesn't care
Word.
if
Uh-huh.
Mbaku's like scoffing at them and saying, "Why is your technological advancements is operated by a younger person?" He's
Right.
like, "No, my sister's freaking smart, so I'm gonna put her in that position because she deserves to be there." And I think in connection to the first film, how T'Challa was surrounded by powerful women, and he called on his sister, and he called on his love interest. He called on his mother, to help him make decisions. And I think we see these women lose someone that they love so much, and it's only right for us to try to understand how they move forward as a nation. And I think it could be really empowering, not only for Black men to see that, but for Black women to see that too, and for the world to also see that in its entirety. So there's a lot, you know. You just gotta have
Uh-huh.
to buy a ticket. You're asking bare questions right now.
Look, I'm about. I'm there already. Look, what you understand is I'm not even here talking to you. I'm already there.
You're there. You're in the seat.
I'm I'm
I'm with the
I'm in the
popcorn.
seat right now. Like I'm waiting for them to pop the popcorn. I'm like, to hurry up, man. I'm already there for the movie. Last question I'll ask, and you've been so generous with your time.
Thank you.
And you guys have to go out and see the Silent Twins. It is a wholly amazing and unique film going experience. You guys will love it, and of course, we're super excited for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I want to ask you a question on a little bit of the discourse that's been going on that we've talked about here on Higher Learning. So we have an amazing crop of young Black actors working right now. To me, having followed film and been a part of, the filmmaker, I produced the movie, won an Oscar. So it having done this for a while, I think that the crop of young Black talent that we have right now, I'm unfamiliar with it ever having been this deep. I
Mm,
mean, yourself, Jonathan Majors,
mm,
Zazie Beetz, Tessa
mm.
Thompson, Daniel, Damson,
Dominic
just
Thorne, Dominic Fishback,
oh
Kiki
my
Palmer,
God, Dominic
Kiki
Fishback,
Lane,
it
Calvin
is
Harris Jr., Stephen James.
absolutely Lakeith Stansfield, like
Keith.
everyone, like it's just an amazing crop of young talent.
Mm,
There's been a conversation, and I'm sure you've heard this question before, about what it means to have British actors portray Americans in American roles,
mm,
and whether or not our cultures are linked enough for that to be something that we shouldn't care about. Idris Elba, who's said that it was an unintelligent sort of conversation to have because we are all Black, and being that we are all Black, it shouldn't really matter whether or not you have Cynthia Erivo playing Harriet Tubman, or whether or not you have Daniel brilliantly playing Fred Hampton.
mm,
I, just to be honest with you, have said I don't think in the grand scheme of things it does matter, but I can see to Black American actors why it would matter, why they would feel as if we're being pushed to the side, because sometimes the narrative is that our brothers and sisters across the pond are more refined or better performers than us. And a
mm,
lot of Black actors, like Samuel L. Jackson said in the past, think that maybe that shouldn't be the case.
mm.
Is this an argument? Because we heard this when Queen and Slim came out. We've talked about it over and over and over again. Is this an argument when it's brought up that you feel like has any merit? Is this something that we should be discussing? Or is this something that we should put behind us and unite as a diaspora to kind of portray roles and big up each other? What do you think? Do you think it has any merit to even talk about this?
Oh man, everything has value. You know,
Yeah.
everyone's feelings are validated and necessary, and it's important for us to have healthy, balanced conversations about how we're feeling. You know, and
Right.
it doesn't serve if we knock each other down. For myself, I don't usually tap into to everything in terms of the conversation too tough, because you know I'm still trying to work out how to be the creator of these projects to begin with.
Uh,
Like for me, it's like the power is held by the person in the studio. Like for me, it's like how did they get to craft a story together, put a team together, and put something out into the world. And I want to be a part of that conversation where I can be able to be to be involved in the creative process of putting things together. Like I want to own a studio one day. Like how did
oh,
Tyler Perry
I'm
do
with that.
that? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think for me, like I think that's where my focus is. It's like how do I position myself with my craft in a way that can be able to open up doors for all of us, so we can all feel that we're having an equal opportunity to thrive in meaningful roles.
Word, word. Okay. The big picture. I feel you. Letitia Wright,
Thank you.
thank you for joining us on Higher Learning today. The film is The Silent Twins.
Yeah.
It is going to knock you guys' socks off. I think just to watch what you and Tamara Lawrence did on the movie it's amazing. I really can't even
Yeah.
describe it. It's something that people are going to have to see. By the way, I'm a huge fan of you. I know it's you in the suit. I'm not gonna ask you if it's you
What
in the
are you
suit in the trailer.
talking about,
I
bro?
don't know. I'm not gonna ask you if it's you in the suit. I know it's you in the suit. I did a forensic breakdown of Shuri's movements from the first Black Panther and compared it to the split second I got in the trailer, and it's you in the suit.
Man,
So
you
congratulations on being the
wildin'
next.
right now, bro. Yo, just get your ticket. When you get your ticket, we'll go watch
Huh?
it together.
We'll
Have
go
a
watch it
big
together.
discussion, innit?
And we gonna give each other a pound when I'm like, I knew it. I knew my sister got
Man,
you Black
you
Panther.
wildin' right now, bro.
Letitia Wright, thank you for joining us today on Higher Learning. Pleasure to talk to you. Can't wait for the movie to come out, and excited to watch your career and all your success.
Thank you, bro.